Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a seriously ancient Mahayana Buddhist sutra to completely, radically redefine how we think about diligence, focus, and our spiritual life force. And look, right off the bat, I want to be clear. We're not talking about productivity hacks or, checking things off a to-do list here. This is an exploration of a deeply profound concept from antiquity. We're talking about an energy that is so absolute, so intense, it literally alters the fabric of reality for the person wielding it. So let's just start by being brutally honest with ourselves and confronting a deeply relatable truth about our modern lives. Why do we so constantly surrender our biggest intentions to everyday distractions? Why is it that the second we set our minds to a noble pursuit or an ambitious goal, or frankly, even just trying to sit in quiet focus for 5 minutes, we almost immediately start looking for the exit? Well, the text we're unpacking today doesn't shy away from this human frailty at all. In fact, it anticipates it perfectly. You see, the sutra actually lists out 10 specific demons that derail us. But hold on, these aren't mythological monsters with fangs and pitchforks. They're incredibly mundane, deeply relatable human struggles. The text explicitly calls out things like the overwhelming pull of sleep, the physical craving for soft clothing and a comfy bed, getting dragged into pointless petty arguments, and that endless, exhausting need for praise and validation. These are the subtle, everyday forces that just quietly chip away at our resolve, minute by minute, until our biggest goals are totally abandoned. Okay, so here's the crucial part. How does this ancient text actually tell us to fight back against these daily demons? It introduces a concept called virya paramita, which translates to the perfection of diligence. But we need to frame this correctly. This is not corporate hustle. This isn't grinding away at a desk. It's described as a profound, unyielding dedication, an unretreating energy. It's a spiritual fortitude that once it's activated, absolutely never turns back. Think of it like a diamond, completely unbreakable by the petty distractions that normally take us out. Now, here's what's so fascinating. This astronomical diamond-like energy, it isn't born from some sudden, massive, heroic leap. It's anchored entirely in tiny, everyday decisions. Because before someone can conquer the cosmos, they literally have to conquer their own immediate impulses first. The text makes it very clear that true, unretreating energy is built in the microscopic moments. It's built right there in that split second where you have the choice to either surrender to distraction or hold your ground. It's the step-by-step commitment. It's choosing to hold your focus for literally just one more moment. It's the active refusal to give in to a quick hit of anger or choosing to ignore the temptation of instant physical comfort. Every single time you choose your intention over a petty argument or you choose your focus over the sudden urge to take a nap, you are practicing this unretreating energy. You are building the foundation of spiritual life force required for what comes next. And keeping that foundation of small choices in mind is absolutely essential for the emotional peak of this text. The sutra now narrows its focus to the legendary tale of two brothers. These were two princes born into unimaginable wealth, who both encountered a perfectly enlightened being. Both brothers were so deeply moved that they gave up their kingdom and offered absolutely everything they had. But how they actually chose to express their dedication, that represents two completely different paradigms of human potential. So picture this stark contrast. The first brother, pure dwelling, just goes all out with material wealth. The text tells us he offered a robe worth 1 billion pieces of pure gold. He built these magnificent monasteries, offered endless music, banners, feasts, the whole shebang. It's this beautiful, staggering display of external generosity. But his brother, pure holding, takes a very different path. Having no more gold left to give, pure holding steps forward and offers something infinitely more difficult. He offers the terrifying, awe-inspiring wealth of absolute, unbreakable mental fortitude. Pure holding steps forward and makes a vow that strips away every single worldly safety net. He decides that external offerings just aren't enough to achieve true, unretreating energy. He realizes he has to conquer the biological limits of his own body. So he makes a vow to never allow his physical form to seek comfort, to never let his mind waver, and to entirely surrender his physical being to spiritual clarity. He chooses to endure the scorching heat. When the sun is at its absolute peak, beating down upon him, he refuses to take a single step into the shadows. He stands in the freezing colds, refusing even the simplest layer of warmth, letting the elements simply crash over him. He vows never to sit down, not to rest his legs, not to kneel.
He vows never to sleep, not even for the fleeting duration of a finger snap.
And he demands of himself that not one single thought of physical exhaustion is allowed to even form in his mind.
1,000 years. For 1,000 years. Without resting, without retreating, a youth standing entirely still, holding the very fabric of his mind in absolute, unbreakable perfection. He says, I would rather abandon my body and life, even if my sinews, skin, blood, and flesh all wither away, I will still remain completely removed from all laziness. This complete surrender of the physical self for ultimate spiritual clarity, this is the awe-inspiring reality of unretreating energy. It is the culmination of millions of those tiny single choices we talked about earlier, compounded into a force that defies time, defies biology, and completely defies the very nature of human weakness. Now, obviously, nobody is asking us to stand in a field for a millennium. But the text forces us to look up at the ceiling of human willpower and realize just how incredibly vast it is. If pure holding could master 1,000 years of absolute stillness, what might you awaken within yourself in your very next unretreating choice? The next time you are tempted to surrender your focus, remember the youth who did not sit, who did not sleep, and who never turned back.